Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I am bringing you guys my Week 1 team builder for the UPC. This is season number 3 of UPC, and as I mentioned, this is week number 1, and I am so excited. This team that I have drafted is so cool, and it's really different than anything I've drafted before, and I'm really excited to start putting it to work. My opponent is the Chicago Granbulls, coached by Novahawk. Make sure you check him out. His information is going to be down in the description. But yeah, let's take a peek at his team. He has Tapu Koko, Skarmory, Volcanion, Mamoswine, Mega Garchomp, Hitmontop, Tornadus, Incarnate, not Therian, Drapion, Azelf, Dusclops, and also Ninjask. So the biggest Pokemon that are hard for me to deal with are probably Mega Garchomp, just because that thing is so powerful, and it's also got good mixed attacking stats, so that makes it difficult to deal with. Tapu Koko is pretty scary. I do have some switch-ins, but the trouble is that he can pack a lot of coverage for like my switch-ins, which is definitely annoying. Volcanion is a huge threat, but I have some good switch-ins for that. Truthfully, things like Azelf are really scary to me, just because of the amount of speed that thing has, and it can run nasty plot sets that are really dangerous. And also, I can't dismiss the possibility of like a speed passing Ninjask going into Mamoswine or Volcanion or things like that. So we're going to have to do the best we can to play around it. I hope we don't run into something like that. So let's just hop on into the team. First off, I went with Manectric, Choice Scarf set, Full Switch, Thunderbolt, Signal Beam, Hidden Power Ice. Didn't need to run Flamethrower this week, so decided to just put Signal Beam on instead, because it can hit some things, I suppose, like it can hit Azelf super effectively. I guess that's really the only thing. I don't need it for anything else. Flamethrower, that's going to hit, it doesn't really hit Mamoswine all that hard, because of Thick Fat. Like Signal Beam is just as good. The Ninjask already get hits by Thunderbolt. Yeah, most everything gets hit by Thunderbolt. And even like Tapu Koko, like because it sets up electric terrain, my Thunderbolt's boosted, so even the fact that it resists it doesn't make a big difference. So I don't feel that bad about running no fire coverage this week. Put enough speed on here to outspeed Modest Tornadus. He didn't have anything that was base 100 that would be hitting 328 at full speed. Put the rest into special attack and just a little bit into bulk. Yeah, and this is here because it can take out Garchomp. It can pretty much one-shot with Hidden Power Ice depending upon the investment, the prior damage, and things like that. It also gives me a potential way to revenge things like Azelf, and it's going to outspeed now non-Scarf variants of Tapu Koko. And just going to provide some good momentum. It'll be tricky. We'll have to see which ground types he brings. Mamoswine and Garchomp threaten me both a lot, but I'm hoping that he's inclined not to bring both of them because of Tapu Bulu and the grassy terrain. In fact, what I'm kind of expecting is that he'll bring a fully special Garchomp, so that way he can run Earth Power and not have to deal with the grassy terrain weakening the earthquakes. Let me just make sure that this thing does get Earth Power. I'm sure it does. It does, yeah, okay. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting, and then he maybe won't bring Mamoswine. He really should, just because I don't have a way to deal with it. But I don't know, I got my fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, this can basically revenge anything on his team, and depending upon what ground types he brings, I can full switch around. Next up, we do have Mega Latios, specially defensive, Calm Mind, Roost, Psychic, and Thunderbolt. Very specially defensive because that allows it to switch in very easily on things like Volcanion. I also have Vaporeon as a potential Volcanion switch-in, but I'm a little bit worried about something like Bloom Doom, Solar Beam, that could hit the Vaporeon. So Latios really needs to be run specially defensive, and I'm relying on Vaporeon to be a counter for other Pokemon anyway. So we'll use Latios for that. Psychic and Thunderbolt was really the only coverage that I needed this week. Dragon coverage might be nice for Garchomp potentially, but you know, not that worried about it. We put enough speed on here to potentially outspeed Mamoswine. I don't want to be staying in on Mamoswine if I can't kill it in one hit, because Icicle Crash does a lot of damage. But if I'm at a good amount of health and he's can only hit me with Ice Shard and I can OHKO him with Psychic or something like that, then I'll be able to outspeed that and hit it up. And tank an Ice Shard, you know, it'll do like 50% damage or something like that. But again, if the circumstances of the battle work out in my favor, I won't mind doing that. What's funny is that this actually can kind of switch into Tapu Koko. Like Life Orb Dazzling Gleam's only doing like 35%. So if we get up a Calm Mind, then we're really not taking anything from Tapu Koko. I originally had Thunder Wave, but Calm Mind just seems too good not to run. Like, he just doesn't have good answers. Sure, he can run Drapion, but Drapion's just not strong enough naturally to do a lot to us. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm not going to play it too recklessly, because, you know, it can, like, Pursuit Trap me and things like that. But if we're setting up, if we get up to, like, +2 and he brings that in, like, something like Knockoff without any Swords Dance boosts is not going to do a lot to us. And we can hit him up with Thunderbolt and do a lot of damage. Next up, we have Alolan Marowak. This is going to be my primary switch into Tapu Koko. Oh, the other nice thing about Manectric as well is it has Lightning Rod, which can potentially, you know, absorb the electric attacks. So does Marowak, because it also has that nifty Lightning Rod ability. Flare Blitz, Boomerang, Will-O-Wisp, Stealth Rock hits pretty much everything on the team. Will-O-Wisp is nice. What was his switch in for? Oh yeah, probably his main switch in for this is Volcanion, but you know, he's gonna have a hard time wanting to switch in when I'm packing the Boomerang coverage. And I know Will-O-Wisp is also nice for Pokemon. No, he really doesn't have any other Flare Blitz switch-ins besides Garchomp. But again, you know, does it really want to switch in on a potential Will-O-Wisp? Maybe if it's special, that'll be something that I can be on the lookout for. It might sort of telegraph his set to me. And if he is physical and he switches on the Will-O-Wisp, then that's great. That's really neutralized. But yeah, put a lot of Spadef into this. I don't remember exactly what this helps me to live. I think it's 2 Hidden Power Grounds. And then put the rest into attack and give it a Thick Club, because this thing, you know, it is a nice defensive switch-in for Tapu Koko, but it is also very threatening to my opponent's team. So give that thing 436 attack, and we're looking pretty good. I think that's higher than a unboosted Azumarill, which is not bad. So that's what we're going to be doing with Alolan Marowak this week. So up to this point, I was still feeling pretty weak to Azelf, and Dusclops was also kind of scary to me. So I originally had Tapu Bulu in this next slot, but I decided I really needed to run Zoroark. And running a funny set this week, Knockoff, Sakura Punch, Bounce, and Swords Dance. Bounce with the Flyinium Z, because this allows us to OHKO Hitmontop, I believe, at -1 if it's defensive. Or sorry, +1. Like, we've gone for 1 Swords Dance boost. He brings in Hitmontop to be his check. And then we go for a Bounce with the Z move. I should probably look up how much like a non-boosted Mach Punch does. Because he could definitely go for that, and that would be threatening. But yeah, otherwise, like, this is a good Pokemon versus his team. I don't really want to be getting burned with his Zoroark, obviously. But, you know, if we have to sacrifice it in order to knock off an Eviolite on Dusclops, we can do it. Fortunately, we do have Marowak as well, which can do nice damage. It's immune to Will-O-Wisp. We unfortunately aren't packing the Shadow Bone, but it should be fine. Sucker Punch is to hit Azelf if it starts setting up, just to give us something to, you know, that can outspeed it, because I don't really have much else besides like Scarf Manectric, and this isn't powerful enough to like OHKO it. And then also like Sucker Punch for Ninjask or something that's been past a speed boost from Ninjask is gonna be pretty nice. So yeah, fingers crossed that this works out for me. You know, Swords Dance will be nice, like if I get a chance to set up, and you know, I could potentially trick him into thinking I've brought in a different Pokemon. And, it's really just if I come into that sort of perfect situation that I'll go for Swords Dance. It's not that I'm trying to win with Zoroark, although it is pretty good against this team. Alright, next up we have Celesteela, aka Behemoth, which is packing Heavy Slam, Hidden Power Ice, Flamethrower, and Leech Seed. Leftovers with a mixed defensive set. This is my best switch-in for both Garchomp and Mamoswine. So this thing's definitely under a lot of pressure. And it stinks because like Mamoswine's pretty heavy, so Heavy Slam doesn't actually do that much. And then Hidden Power Ice is for that. It is for that Garchomp, and then Flamethrower was for something else. I don't know. I don't remember what it was for. I'll have to take a look and see if it's worth taking that off for something different. Like I originally had Earthquake on there, but I'm not gonna be staying in on Volcanion anyway. And Heavy Slam already hits Tapu Koko pretty hard, so I don't know if it's really worth running Earthquake for just Tapu Koko. And again, I'm not staying in on Tapu Kokos ever. I just have to be predicting a switch, and when are you switching in Tapu Koko onto Celesteela? But yeah, I just really needed to take on the 2 ground types, and Leech Seed's there. Not, Leech Seed's just annoying for other people to deal with. And if I can start chipping things down with Leech Seed, then yeah, I can get off maybe a Sucker Punch sweep or a Thunderbolt sweep. So yeah, I'll be relying on Celesteela this week quite a bit. And then last but not least, we are packing a pretty standard Vaporeon, Scald, Ice Beam, Toxic, and Wish. I've decided to nickname Vaporeon Siren. After those famous sirens from the Odyssey, they're manipulating Odysseus into all sorts of weird things. But yeah, running it pretty physically defensive. The spread isn't for anything in particular. It's just like the suggested Smogon spread. It gives a very similar defense and special defense stats. And it's okay that you're not going all the way up with HP because it's already so high. Like nothing else on my team even like comes close to that HP stat, even without full investment. But yeah, this is sort of my backup switch in to the ground types, Mamoswine and Garchomp, because most likely they're not going to be 2-hit KOing. Well, probably like a Life Orb, Earthquake would from Mamoswine. I don't know about what do you call it, Garchomp. But yeah, it's just really here to just be a sponge and hit up Ice Beam on the Garchomp, hit up Scald on Mamoswine. It's also a great switch in for Volcanion, but as I mentioned, it has a high probability of running Bloom Doom, so I'll probably be scouting for that. Toxic is there to hit the Volcanion after it's burned its Bloom Doom, because even though I can sponge all of its hits, I still can't hit it back for anything. Something like Substitute would be really scary on Volcanion, so let's hope that doesn't happen. Then Wish is nice because I can heal up my Celesteela, I can heal up my Marowak, which otherwise don't really have awesome ways of recovering their HP. Even Latias wouldn't be terrible to wish that up, even though we're still packing Roost. But yeah, this is just going to be sort of the, what do I need to check today? Oh, okay, let's switch you into Volcanion now. Okay, let's switch you into Drapion now. Things like that. So that's going to be the team, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Haven't battled Novahawk before, and I think he's relatively new to YouTube, so it'll be cool to sort of do the first match for him. And, I wish him the best, of course, but maybe after this week. He is in our division, so we will be playing him again. So this is going to be an informative match because it tells us how well we got to match up against him. And if we do make any free agency transactions, it'll be informed by this match. So fingers crossed. That'll do it for me. Battle's going up tomorrow. Make sure you check that out. And make sure, of course, you check back to the channel for other Pokemon and gaming content. So until the next time, I will see you all later.